Come with me if you want to live. In this video, I'm going to attempt to fix another Vizio TV. This one is a model E400i-B2. And what it's doing is, when you hit the power button, you get a light comes on, but no backlight. And I tried looking for the logo that comes on. It's either not there or I'm not seeing it. But it quickly shuts itself off. It might be because there's no inputs, or it might be because there's something wrong. But backlight doesn't even try to come on. So we're going to open this thing up, see if we can find out what's going on. Now I didn't want to go too far without checking the turn on signal. So I'm just back pinning the PS on tied to ground here. And now I'm just confirming that when I click the power button that the main board is telling the power supply to turn on. So that's what I'm doing now. Click this on. We'll see the voltage now jumps up to 3. Stays there for a few seconds and then shuts itself back off again. See the light here it's gone dim too. So I'll just go ahead and click that power button again. There. It's being told to turn on. It stays on for a few seconds and shuts itself off. So there is some life out of the main board. I did double check a couple of the 1117 voltage regulators and they look good. I'm getting 1.2 out of one of them. I don't remember exactly which one. A couple of these are 3.3s. That looks good. I don't see any funny business there. So I'm going to take a closer look now at the LEDs and the LED drivers. Here I pulled the power supply out of the TV. I wanted to test it independently. I'm just going to go ahead and carefully power it up. First thing I'm going to do is check for standby. 5-volt standby, good. Of course, both pins are good. So right now, the 12 volt and 24 volt, here's a 24 volt, I'm just going to test right here, is off. Well, there's no load right here, so there's a little bit of leftover power in the capacitor. But now when I connect from the 5-volt standby to the on signal, I'm just going to go ahead and get that contact there. So now I should have my 12 volt is on. There's 12 volt and there's another set of tied together of 12 volts here too. So all the 12 volt pins are good, and also the 24 volt which goes up to the LED driver board. That is also good. So from what I can tell, power supply is working fine. It's doing everything it's supposed to do. Next, I'll take a closer look at maybe the LED driver board. Now I'm going to test the LEDs. I'm going to test them with my own power supply. And let's see if I can get some light on here. So how this works is there's 5 sets of LEDs. If you look here, there's 5 different colors and there's 5 blacks. Now this driver board set up so it has a common positive and switch negatives. There's 5 MOSFETs, there's 5 diodes, and there's 5 outputs. So these just control each strip. There's 5 strips of LEDs in there. And I noticed that these caps here are all in parallel. They're rated at 50 volts, so the normal operating voltage I'd expect to be around 30. So these are switching on around 30 volts. So I'm just going to manually apply power and check each row of LEDs. So as I test the LED strips, you can see the light come through this hole right here. I'm going to start at the top. The top connector is actually row number 4. See there the light come on. I'll do that again. There's row 4. Second pin down is row 5. That's the very bottom. That works too. Next one down is at the top. See, yep, that's lighting up too. It's at the very top, so it's not as much light's making it to this hole here. Next one down, this is actually the second row. This is row number 2 on the second to the bottom pin that I'm at right here. And the last channel on the driver board is number 3, which is right in the middle. So there, all 5 rows are lighting up. Looks like the LEDs are fine. There certainly isn't any open LEDs. If there was an open LED, it wouldn't be able to light. There's a chance there's a shorted LED, but from what it looks like right now, all 5 rows of LEDs are fine. So I decided to test the current of all 5 rows. Top row, 48 milliamps. Second row, 48 milliamps. Row 3, 48 milliamps. Row 5, 53 milliamps. I'm sorry, that was row 4, and this is row 5, 52 milliamps. So the bottom 2 rows are quite a bit higher than the top 3, so it is possible there's 2 shorted LEDs in those bottom 2 rows. Here I just took and jumpered the 3 good rows. I'm on the LED side of the diode, so I don't have to worry about backfeeding into the LED controller. But I just jumpered the 3 good rows, and I'm manually powering it up with my power supply. And if you look through the hole here, right there, you can see the backlight is on. I'm just forcing the backlight on. And I have the TV plugged in. Everything is plugged back in again, and I'm just going to try to manually, or not manually, I'm just going to go ahead and turn the TV on now. Helps you push the right button. There we go, power button. I'm waiting to see if I get a logo or something, some kind of activity out of the screen. No signal. Should do something, and I'm not getting anything. I'll try again. I mean, I get power light comes on, but I'm not getting anything on the screen at all. It doesn't even change from dark to slightly less dark. So I'm thinking this might have a mainboard problem. So this is where I'm at with the TV. Since I'm getting no video with the backlight manually turned on, I'm putting the blame on the main board. So I went through the main board. I checked a few things that I can check. You know, each of the voltage regulators here, the 1117s, they're labeled to the power that they're rated to put out, and I checked each of these. They're all good. There's a couple of 3.3s and a 1.2. This larger one here, I believe, is also a 3.32 if I remember right. But also, this also has a BGA chip, which I did reflow. It made no difference. I actually think it could be the EEPROM, but there are no EEPROMs available for this model of board. So I placed an order for a new main board and installed it in the TV. But first, the reason why I'm not too excited about the current ratings not matching on all rows of the LED strips. Basically, I know there's 5 rows of LEDs, and so let's say we have a row of LEDs here, equal amount here and an equal amount here. These middle rows, more than likely they're going to stagger them. like this, so you're not getting a straight line. You want to spread it out and stagger it. So these rows with the 2 rows with less LEDs are going to have a higher current draw at the same voltage than the rows with more LEDs. So I think that probably explains why 2 rows have slightly higher current draw than the other 3 rows. So I think the LEDs are fine. But back to the new main board. I think the new main board is bad, because all it does now is power cycle. Go ahead and power this up. This meter here, the 3 volts, this is the turn on. I'm back pinning the, let me see if you can see here. I'm just back pinning the 3.3. This is the turn on signal you're seeing here, and this is the 12 volt switched power source here. And if you actually can see the light down here too, it's just blinking on and off. It's constantly power cycling. It's turning on, shutting off, turning on, shutting off. So I think the new main board is bad. Bought it off eBay. The seller listed it as pulled from a cracked screen. I've worked with recycle shops before. A cracked screen doesn't always mean that's the only problem it had. Say someone has a TV, it stops working, and they're taking it to the recycle center. They're not going to be gentle with the TV. Once it's broken, it's not really worth anything. They go to recycle it. They break the glass on the way to recycle shop. So the recycle shop might assume that, hey, it has broken glass. That might be the only problem, but that's not always the case. So I might try pulling the EEPROM off of the flashing, the recycling power board, and try putting it on the board that would power on for a while and then shut off with no image. Otherwise, I'll contact the seller and see what he has to say. So right now, TV's still broken. Look at that. Finally got some life out of this thing. Turns out the good power supply is bad, the bad main board is good, and the good main board is bad. Yes, it's very confusing, but I got an image out of it. I'm piggybacking 12 volts on the 12 volt supply. It appears a 12 volt supply is weak, and as soon as you put a load on it, it dies. For some reason, the backlight still won't turn itself on, but I'm manually, right there, I'm running one backlight strip at 28 volts, 70 milliamps, just enough to light it up. Just enough to light it up. So there, if you look there, mainboard is actually alive, and it's the original mainboard that was bad, that I reflowed, that maybe it wasn't bad, maybe it was. I couldn't get an image out of it before, but now I am. Alright, well, I'm on to something. Finally got the TV done. Turned out I was wrong about the main board. Or at least I think I was wrong about it. Because both the LED driver and power supply was bad. Here's the original set. I tried independently testing one at a time. Both the original driver board and power supply are junk. So finally, we have a picture. Well, I think that's about all I got to say for this set. It was a bit of a bugger, but I've had enough of this one. It's fixed. I'm done. Thanks for watching.